bona fides of the government that's producing this kind of legislation, because while it's so necessary to control harmful content, especially for Ardina Oga, and I have 10 wonderful grandchildren, and all under 9. I know you have young children yourself, and they need to be protected. And ordinary people need to be protected as well. But things are running amok on social media, and when we see now the hard left supporting legislation like this, and they're not so blind as those who cannot see at all. Like, we were invited last night to go to the American ambassador's residence. I duly went along on behalf of my constituents, because we have 8,000 direct investment jobs in Clonmel alone, and 5,000 or 6,000 more in Dungarvan, Trestner and Boher and Portlauriga. And to think that elected members of this House would be prancing around there with communist flags on them, roaring and shouting abuse at us going in there, and prohibited people from getting access to the American embassy. I think it's a sad day when the American ambassador's embassy was blocked off last night and people couldn't get access to it. It's a sad day for democracy. And these people claim to be Democrats themselves. Democrats, they don't know what the word means. They're nothing but bullies and thugs and vagabonds of the worst type. And they're in this House every day, catcalling and name-calling me and my colleagues here, and my colleagues and I and others here, bullying and trying to bully and intimidate us and try to dictate what goes on in this House. But here we have cabals then of NGOs running in front of the government. I'm sure there's plenty around you too, Minister. They're costing, there's 30,000 of them, Deputy Nolan found out, NGOs, costing nearly $6 billion a year. And they're writing legislation, you're turning it out, and the government are, yes, write some more, we'll do that for you now. We'll do the hate speech next. So shut up all these people. We're going back to an autocratic state. Our democracy was hard fought for by the men of 1916 and the men of 22 and 23. Hard fought for. And we've come a long way now that we're doing legislation like this, it's supposed to do one thing, but it's really sneakily and cleverly crafted at the behest of the NGOs out there. And we're sick of seeing them morning, noon and night on television and every place else, attacking the church. Before we had NGOs, we had sisters and brothers and lay people that went all over the world and looked after people in famines and everything else. But now we have to have all these NGO CEOs and deputy directors, and we have all the spokesperson for them. And we have the brilliant doctors and nurses go out and do their work and still go out and do it. But these NGOs are just like a bloody cancer, getting all the money and taking the money away from the people who need it. And we had 3,000 people queuing at 4 o'clock this morning in this city down at the Capuchin Centre for food. 3,000 people on a cold night like last night, and all the bothered people in here, and the government is, how can we stop the people, good Christian people of this country? How can we silence them? How can we destroy their religion, their culture, their heritage, our ducas? But they won't. I have that message. There are silent people out there, and they want to practice as Christians, and they want to practice their culture and their faith and their language and their Rockroad machine, and they will continue to do that in spite of all this legislation. Like the hate speech bill is so dangerous. I know this is not this, and it's been found out. And I salute Senator McDowell in the other House for picking out so many holes, and it was rushed here with indecent hate. And when I see parties like Sinn Féin and the left here voting this legislation, especially Sinn Féin, who for years were banned off the radios and television under the Offences Against the State Act for years, and now they're going along with this because they've become so far right now, so far in the establishment parties now with the government, with the globalists, serving the EU masters, that they've forgotten their values, they've forgotten how they were denied access to radio, and now we want to put kind of a muzzle on Oireachtas members here even, and a muzzle on organisations. When you brought in legislation here some weeks ago to stop people praying outside the health centre, imagine the fact the pro-life march, which I attend every year gladly, walk down O'Connell Street, that could be fall foul of that legislation because we'll be nearer than 100 metres to some health facilities. The twisted thinking and logic behind that to destroy people's lives and to have this neoliberal so-called great society. And then we have 3,000 people waiting for food last night for the Capuchins. We have 13,000 homeless, including 3,500 children. You should hang your heads in shame. You'd keep bringing all this legislation in. You'd keep obeying the NGOs. You'd form Citizens' Assembly after Citizens' Assembly to bring in some kind of legislation to thwart the democratic right of the people that elected us to this House to carry out legislation. So I won't be supporting this legislation, any part of it, because it's not doing what it says in the tin. It's a cover for you to try and silence people. Thank you.